Welcome to PBS 39's Scholastic Scrimmage. Scholastic Scrimmage is brought to you by the members of PBS 39 and by...
Scholastic Scrimmage is sponsored by St. Luke's University Health Network, the region's leading provider of medical education. For more than 100 years, St. Luke's has been dedicated to educating physicians, nurses, and healthcare professionals. To learn more, call St. Luke's InfoLink, toll free at 866 St. Luke's, or visit sluhn.org.
Support for PBS 39's educational programming is provided by the Deluxe Corporation Foundation, proud to support quality programming on PBS 39.
Scholarships provided by the Air Products Foundation. And now, here's your host, Joe Pacetti.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Scholastic Scrimmage on PBS 39. I'm your host, Joe Pacetti, and welcome to our 7th contest of the regular season. Before we begin, I'd like to share with you a few of the things I've learned working as the host of this program. Every day since PBS welcomed me onto the show, I've gone in search of new facts that I could share to impress people at social gatherings. Today, I want to share some of those with you, with the hope that you'll take this invaluable information with you into the world writ large. The entire state of Wyoming has only 2 escalators. The actor who was inside R2-D2 hated the guy who played C-3PO, calling him, quote, the rudest man I've ever met. The collective noun for a group of pugs is a grumble. According to an analysis by 538, 44% of Bob Ross's paintings contain at least one happy little cloud. The duffel bag gets its name from the town of Duffel, Belgium, where the cloth used in the bags was originally sold. The Q in Q-tips stands for quality. After an online vote in 2011, Toyota announced that the official plural of Prius was Prii. Michael Jackson's 1988 autobiography Moonwalk was edited by Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. During a 2004 episode of Sesame Street, Cookie Monster said that before he started eating cookies, his name was Sid. Are these facts random? Yes. Are they necessary? No. On our last show, we indicated that deep dives into information can unearth surprising things. I encourage you to actually question items like your Q-tips, for example, and ask, why? Why Q-tips? Just make sure that no one else is around to hear you. It's time to ask these competitors what they know. Let's welcome Jim Thorpe, Olympians, and the Marian Catholic cults to the stage. Let's meet the team, starting with Jim Thorpe.
I'm Christian Gould, and I'm a senior.
My name is Alexander Hauk, and I am a senior.
My name is Trevor Kiefer, and I'm a senior.
My name is Nick Roshak, and I'm a senior.
Jim Thorpe's coach is Shelley Moyer. Now the team from Marian.
My name is Sarah Barabee, and I am a senior.
My name is Lexi Zukas, and I am a senior.
My name is Emily Roberti, and I'm a senior.
My name is Megan Weber, and I'm a senior.
Marian's coach is Amanda Belfiore. Our judges for today's contest are Sally Campbell, Gary DeLeo, and Kathleen Steele. At the end of the season, the 2 final teams will win scholarships for their schools from the Air Products Foundation. To our audience, this contest requires rapid recall of facts and favors the resolute. Performances on this stage are not necessarily reflective of these students' academic experiences. And remember, it's always easier to be an armchair quizmaster than a competitor in this arena. We understand the rules, so let's begin the contest with a toss-up. Pencil and paper ready. If it is 2 p.m. in Madrid, Spain, what time is it in Los Angeles, given that LA's time zone is 9 hours behind Madrid's? Jim Thorpe.
5 a.m.
5 a.m. is correct. And your bonus, pencil and paper ready. What is the largest of 5 consecutive positive integers that, when added together, produce a sum of 40? Ten was the correct response. Toss-up. What person, who was the only representative to vote against declaring war on Japan in 1941, 25 years earlier became the first woman in Congress? Jeanette Rankin is the correct response. Toss-up. What author, who read her poem On the Pulse of the Morning at Bill Clinton's first inauguration, wrote the memoir I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings? Marian.
Agatha Christie.
That is incorrect. The question goes over to Jim Thorpe. Jim Thorpe.
Maya Angelou.
Maya Angelou is correct. And your bonus. The Bureau of Labor Statistics computes several versions of what index that measures inflation by averaging the costs of market baskets of goods? CPI, or Consumer Price Indexes. Toss-up. What element whose white allotrope is in incendiary bombs is named from the Greek for light bearer and is just below nitrogen on the periodic table? Phosphorus was the correct response. Toss-up. What Secretary of State who was wounded by Lewis Powell the same night Abraham Lincoln was shot? Jim
That
Thorpe.
would be William Seward.
William Seward is correct. And your bonus. Alfred Nobel invented what product that contains nitroglycerin stabilized using diatomaceous earth?
Dynamite.
Dynamite is correct. Toss-up. The Coronado Bridge crosses a bay named for what city, which includes the Gaslamp Quarter, is home to Qualcomm, and is adjacent to Tijuana? San Diego, home of Ron Burgundy. Toss-up. What company CEO Oscar Munoz used the words disruptive and belligerent to refer to David Dow, who was forcibly pulled off one of their planes? Jim Thorpe.
Southwest Airlines.
That is incorrect. Question goes to Marion.
Is it American Airlines?
It is not American Airlines. It is United Airlines. It is United Airlines is what we're looking for. Very close. Toss-up. What poet who said she was inebriate of air in I Taste a Liquor Never Brewed depicted a ride with immortality in Because I Could Not? Jim Thorpe.
Emily Dickinson.
Emily Dickinson is correct. And your bonus. What American author wrote about a slave rebellion on a Spanish ship in his story Benito Serrano, which is part of his collection, The Piazza Tales? Herman Melville, also author of Moby Dick. Toss-up. Goldbach's conjecture relates evens to sums of what numbers, which are found by the sieve of Eratosthenes and are only divisible by themselves and 1? Jim Thorpe.
Prime numbers.
Prime is correct. And your bonus. What trigonometric function is the reciprocal of the cosine function? Trevor.
Sine.
Incorrect. Secant. Secant. Toss-up. What piece, whose shortest movement concerns characters with long ears, also features tortoises and the swan, and was written by Camille Saint-Saëns? The Carnival of the Animals was the correct response. Toss-up. What campaign, which ended with the case of Browder v. Gale in 1956, was led by Martin Luther King Jr. and involved a type of transit in Alabama? Jim Thorpe.
The Montgomery bus boycott.
That is correct. And your bonus. Constance sings Martin aller Arten before aiding Belmonte's escape from a harem in what composer's opera, The Abduction from the Seraglio? Mozart. Mozart was the correct response. Toss-up. What British poet wrote I Want a Hero at the start of his comic epic Don Juan and compared a woman's appearance to the knight in She Walks in Beauty? Lord Byron is what we're looking for. Lord Byron. Of course it was, yeah, figures, Lord Byron. Lightning round! So at the beginning of the show, we did a coin toss to determine who would go first. Jim Thorpe called tails, and they were the winners of this particular contest. So what I'll do is I will read 2 different categories. You'll select one of those categories. You'll have 1 minute to respond. Anybody can ring in, no conferring. Okay. Your 2 options are slavery in the U.S. and phobias.
Slavery in the U.S., please.
Okay, slavery in the U.S. it is. Identify the following from the history of American slavery. Female Underground Railroad leader known as Moses.
Harriet Tubman.
Correct. 1852 anti-slavery novel by Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Uncle Tom's Cabin.
That is correct. 1820 agreement that admitted Maine as a free state.
Missouri Compromise.
Correct. Abolitionist who led the raid on Harper's Ferry.
John Brown.
Correct. Constitutional amendment that ended slavery. Correct. Activist who gave the Ain't I a Woman speech.
Pass.
Fraction of slave population used to tabulate.
3/5.
Correct. Slave denied his freedom in an 1857 Supreme Court case.
Scott.
Correct. Representative who assaulted Charles Sumner in 1856 over an anti-slavery speech.
Pass.
Slave narrative by Solomon Northup.
Pass.
Okay. That was all of them. Okay. Well done. Well done. So Marion, that means phobias is the category you'll be responding to. Same rules apply. 1 minute. No conferring. Anybody can ring in. Okay. What phobia is the fear of spiders?
Arachnophobia.
Correct. Being closed into a tight space.
Claustrophobia.
Correct. Foreigners or immigrants.
Pass.
Open spaces.
Pass.
Heights.
Acrophobia.
Correct. Cats.
Pass.
Everything.
Omniphobia.
Incorrect. Women. Pass. Clowns. Pass. The number 13. Pass. Okay, that was all of them. The fear of everything. Omni was a very good guess. Very good use of roots there. Panphobia. Panphobia would be everything. And then gynophobia apparently is the fear of women. Yeah. Triskaidekaphobia was the 13. Yeah. Very well played. That was an interesting round. Interesting lightning round. Okay, guys, we'll continue with a toss-up. Let's collect ourselves. The central type of what organelle is surrounded by a membrane called the tonoplast can occupy up to 90% of a plant cell and stores water. Jim Thorpe.
Vacuole.
Vacuole is correct, and your bonus. What state, which was represented in the Senate for over 50 years by Robert Byrd, is currently governed by Jim Justice? Trevor.
Oklahoma.
Incorrect. West Virginia. West Virginia. Toss-up. What outfielder, who was traded to the Mets for Charlie Williams in 1972, was known as the Say Hey Kid and played most of his career with the Giants? The incomparable Willie Mays is what we were looking for there. Willie Mays. Toss-up. What organization, which published Vault 7 in 2017, also published the Iraq War Logs in 2010, and was founded and is currently led by Julian Assange? Tim Thorpe. WikiLeaks is correct. And your bonus. What text, the first of 5 Confucian classics, is attributed to Wen Wang and serves as a divination manual based on the reading of hexagrams?
Figures.
The I Ching, which we typically say I Ching, but it's actually I Ching. Yeah. This next question is a video question for our toss-up. Your attention to the monitor, please.
What Scottish-American founder of the Sierra Club promoted the establishment of Yosemite National Park and names a trail in the Sierra Nevada?
Jim Thorpe.
John Muir.
That is correct. And your bonus. What medieval poem in which Sir Bertilac survives a beheading depicts a follower of King Arthur who accepts a challenge from the title Colorful Foe? Trevor.
Camelot.
Incorrect. Sir Gawain or Gawain in The Green Knight. Okay. Toss-up. What particle is a gauge boson responsible for mediating the strong force and has a name that indicates that it sticks quarks together? Marion.
Gluon.
Gluon is correct, and your bonus. What city's coast features a sail-shaped hotel called the Burj Al Arab, as well as man-made archipelagos named the Palm Jumeirah and the World? Dubai in the UAE. Dubai in the UAE. That brings us to our half. The score at the half is Jim Thorpe 165, Marion 35. Let's have a hand for our teams. At the break during each show, we like to take an opportunity to get to know more about our competitors. This week, we're going to find out what person, past or present, each of our contenders on stage would have dinner with and why. We'll start with Jim Thorpe.
I would have to say Mark Twain. Just a lot of fun. Yeah.
Elon Musk, because he's awesome.
Freddie Mercury, because as in last year, I still don't know if he ever competed in a bicycle race.
LeVar Ball, just because.
Excellent, thank you guys. And Marion.
My 4 beautiful little fur babies. I love them so much.
I have to say Neil deGrasse Tyson. He has a very nice talk show, and it would be one of the very many chances to ask him a lot of questions that I would like to know.
I say Gordon Ramsay as long as he cooks the meal.
I'd have to say Jim Harbaugh because go blue.
Outstanding. I can't agree with the Jim Harbaugh one, but well done anyway. Very interesting dinner guest there. Thank you, everyone. That's going to bring us right back to our toss-ups. What mountain range, whose northern terminus lies at the Kara Sea, is found in central Russia and forms part of the Europe-Asian border? Ural, or the Ural Mountains. Toss up. Which god abducted the shepherd boy Ganymede to serve as his cupbearer and fathered Perseus by impregnating Danae?
Zeus.
Zeus is correct. And your bonus. What Caltech physicist names diagrams that uses arrows and straight and squiggly lines to depict interactions of subatomic particles? Trevor.
Rutherford.
Feynman. Feynman diagrams. Toss-up. During which event did Pepe San Roman command Brigade 2506, which was defeated by forces loyal to Fidel Castro during an invasion of Cuba in 1961? Jim Thorpe.
Bay of Pigs.
Bay of Pigs is correct, and your bonus. In February 2017, what company successfully put one of its Dragon spacecrafts onto orbit when it sent a Falcon 9 rocket to the Kennedy Space Center? Trevor.
SpaceX.
That is correct. Consistent with the Elon Musk stuff. Very good. Toss-up. What man, who wrote The Future of Assisted Suicide and Euthanasia, once clerked for Anthony Kennedy and was appointed to the Supreme Court in 2017? Jim Thorpe.
Gorsuch.
Yes, that is correct. Neil Gorsuch. And your bonus. The largest living tree in the world, which is found in Sequoia National Park, has what name inspired by a Civil War general? Trevor.
Redwood. No.
General Sherman. General Sherman. Also the name of the largest fish in Springfield Lake in The Simpsons, the General Sherman. It's important to remember. Toss-up. What 19th century artistic movement, which includes Asher Duran's Kindred Spirits, was founded by Thomas Cole and named after a river in New York? Hudson River School. The Hudson River. I wouldn't have taken either of those. Visual. There'll be something on the monitor as I read this aloud. Pencil and paper ready. What are the coordinates of the midpoint of the line segment whose endpoints are at -2, -4, and 6, 8? Jim Thorpe.
4, 4.
That is incorrect. Question goes to Marion. (2, 2) is what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. Toss-up. Amity Island is the setting of what film in which Martin Brody calls for a, quote, bigger boat, and which is based on a Peter Benchley? Jim Thorpe.
Jaws.
Jaws is correct. Which members of the family Myrmecophidae are the only mammals without teeth and eat with their long, sticky tongues?
Anteaters.
Anteaters is correct.
Lightning round!
So Jim Thorpe, you went first for your lightning round, so that means Marion, you'll have your selection of category. Your 2 categories to choose from are cars and universities.
Cars. Cars.
Cars? Very good. Okay, you'll have 1 minute. Anyone can ring in, no conferring. What is the make of these classic American car models? Mustang.
Ford.
Correct. Corvette.
Chevy.
Correct. Charger and Dart.
Dodge.
Correct. Firebird and Trans Am.
Pass.
Camaro.
Chevy.
Correct. Skylark and Riviera.
Pass.
Cutlass.
Pass.
Gran Torino.
Pass.
Impala.
Chevy.
Rebel and Gremlin.
Pass.
Okay, that was all of them. Chevy fan, I could see. Yeah, very good. Very well done, guys. Okay, so your category, Jim Thorpe, is universities. 1 minute, no conferring. Anyone can ring in. Name the U.S. state that is home to these universities. Northwestern University.
Illinois.
Correct. Dartmouth College.
New Hampshire.
Correct. Hofstra University.
Pass.
Emory University.
Georgia.
Correct. Marquette University.
Wisconsin.
Correct. Brigham Young University.
Utah.
Correct. Davidson College.
Connecticut.
Incorrect. Tulane University.
Louisiana.
Correct. U.S. Air Force Academy.
Colorado.
Correct. Swarthmore College.
Massachusetts.
Incorrect. Pennsylvania. Swarthmore, just outside of Philly. All right. Very well done, guys. Let's go back to our toss-ups. What king convened the Hampton Court Conference, was the target of the gunpowder plot, and commissioned a 1611 translation of the Bible into English? Jim Thorpe.
King James.
Can you be more specific?
King James the First.
Correct. And your bonus. Almost said second. And your bonus. Since 1955, NORAD has annually tracked whom on its nighttime travels?
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus is correct. It was very quick also. It was good. Toss-up. Gabbro is the intrusive equivalent of what igneous rock, which forms from a Peaho and an AA lavas, and is found in oceanic tectonic plates? Basalt was what we were looking for. Toss-up. What rapper who collaborated with Migos on the 2017 track Peekaboo sang that it was cold like the title state in his single Minnesota? Jim Thorpe.
Gucci Mane.
That is incorrect. The question goes to Marion.
Kendrick Lamar.
That is incorrect. I can't believe I had to say this out loud. It is Little Yachty. Little Yachty. Enjoy that. That may be the only time I say those two words together. Toss-up. Kind of on the same lines. What Holy Roman Emperor fought the recently founded Lombard League at Legnano, drowned on his way to the Third Crusade, and was known as Barbarossa? Frederick, or Frederick I. Toss-up. What principal medium of artists Alvin Coburn and Diane Arbus was used to create Moon and a Half Dome, a work by group F-Stop 64 co-founder Ansel Adams? Photography. Ansel Adams was a photographer. Toss-up. What word, which in finance refers to a startup company that is valued at more than $1 billion, is also the name of a mythical creature with one horn? Unicorn. Jim Thorpe.
Unicorn.
Unicorn.
Yeah.
That's correct. In January 2017, for your bonus, which former High Commissioner for Refugees and Prime Minister of Portugal replaced Ban Ki-moon as United Nations Secretary General? Antonio Guterres. Antonio Guterres. Toss-up. What materials which can be produced via chain growth or step growth reactions include Teflon and consist of repeating monomer subunits? Jim Thorpe.
Polymers.
Polymers is correct. And your bonus. What English poet parodied classical epics in a 1712 poem about the theft of Belinda's hair titled The Rape of the Lock?
Lord Byron.
It's not Byron, it's Pope. Alexander Pope. Toss-up. What man who used a force field to win the second quarter quell before becoming an alcoholic was a mentor to Katniss Everdeen in The Hunger Games?
Haymitch.
Jim Thorpe.
Haymitch.
Haymitch Abernathy would have accepted either one. That works. And your bonus. What nebula, also known as M1, was formed by a supernova observed by Chinese astronomers in the year 1054? Trevor.
Crab Nebula.
Crab Nebula is correct. Toss-up. The raising of silkworms in Mexico was promoted by what priest who issued the Grito de Dolores, a call for Mexico's independence from Spain? Miguel Hidalgo is what we were looking for. Toss-up. What quantity, equal to around 340 meters per second in dry air under normal atmospheric conditions, is exceeded when an object produces a sonic boom? Marion.
Speed of sound.
That is correct, and your bonus. In 2016, Nigel Farage stepped down as the leader of what right-wing British party, which promotes the nation's departure from the European Union?
Labour.
It is not Labour, it is UKIP, or the UK Independence Party. UK Independence Party. Toss-up. What thinker who wrote about the death of a mythical figure named and wrote The Allegory of the Cave in the Republic was a student of Socrates? Jim Thorpe.
Aristotle.
That is incorrect. Question goes over to Marion.
Plato.
Plato is correct. That brings us to the end of our contest. Jim Thorpe scored 340. Marion, 110. Let's have a hand for both of our teams. Congratulations to Jim Thorpe. It's always a pleasure to watch the best and the brightest showcase their immense talents. And we wish Marian Catholic the best of luck in their academic endeavors. On behalf of Scholastic Scrimmage and PBS 39, thank you for your continued support and viewership. Though they may be at times teams of rivals, one truth remains: you can't beat brains.
Scholastic Scrimmage is brought to you by the members of PBS 39 and by
Scholastic Scrimmage is sponsored by St. Luke's University Health Network, the region's leading provider of medical education. For more than 100 years, St. Luke's has been dedicated to educating physicians, nurses, and healthcare professionals. To learn more, call St. Luke's InfoLink, toll free at 866 St. Luke's, or visit sluhn.org.
Support for PBS 39's educational programming is provided by the Deluxe Corporation Foundation, proud to support quality programming on PBS 39.
This program is recorded at the PPL Public Media Center at PBS 39 in Bethlehem.